14 December. This is at the end of the first day of the third test between India and Australia. So before getting into the specifics of the test match, which really we didn't see much because of the rain, I just wanted to cover four topics in this podcast. So broadly, the first topic is around the fast bowling stocks of India, and especially around the other bowlers outside of Bumrah, the likes of Siraj. The second topic is around the importance of the series for Gill and Pant, while the focus has always been on Rohit and Kohli, and rightly so. But how important is this series for Gill and Pant from their career standpoint? Yes, they had success before, but we'll come to that. And the third topic is Nitish Reddy. How does that... he's been great as a batter. He's made runs. But Nitish Reddy, the all-rounder, how is that affecting the balance of the side? And that kind of ties into the fourth topic, which is the spin conundrum. Whom do we play? Ashwin, Jadeja and Sundar. Right. So jumping into the first topic, which is the Indian bowling. And I think the Indian bowling reminds me of the 90s. If I can just draw a parallel with the Indian batting, wherein we were very dependent on Sachin Tendulkar. So it was either him getting the runs or the team folding completely, right? And now it seems to be that Bumrah is the only one. If Bumrah gets wickets, we do well. If he doesn't get wickets, and he's human, you cannot expect even a bowler of his pedigree to get wickets all the time, because there's an element of luck involved. Sometimes bowlers bowl well, but they don't get the edge, or sometimes it could be that the rhythm is not perfect. And as we saw on the first day of the Gabba, Bumrah was not at his best. So that was the moment for the others to step in. And this is where I want to talk about. So Siraj, I thought he had a great start in 2020-21 in Australia. He did well in England as well. But then I think he's been hot and cold, and seeing his performance in the last year. So he's played mostly in India, and I think you can have some sympathy for him, given that Indian pitches are not really conducive to fast bowling, and not everyone is a Bumrah to use reverse swing to get wickets. So I think we can give Siraj the benefit of the doubt in terms of not getting wickets on Indian pitches. However, we've seen that when Akashdeep bowled in India, he seemed to be more in control, or at least he seemed to be a bowler who could get wickets with the new ball. But Siraj didn't feel that way. It's been a long time, in fact, since we saw Siraj really troubling the opposition. I think the last spell that I remember was in South Africa. That was last year. I think, was it Centurion or was it Johannesburg? I can't remember which venue, but it was one of those tests last year where he picked up a 5-wicket haul. But after that, it's been a tough going. And he's bowled well in patches, to be fair. It's not like there's a lack of effort. So I think there are two problems with Siraj. One is he hasn't been consistent enough. He's probably gone searching for wickets, has been experimenting. So he's not been able to hit the line and length and be consistent and be patient as a test match bowler is expected to do to get wickets. That's one, consistency. The second problem that I see is that his pace seems to have dropped off. I remember when he hit the scene, he was bowling around the 140k mark consistently, in the high 130s or around the 140 mark when he was playing in England. The last series we toured. So I think he was definitely quicker. He seems to have lost a bit of pace, and even a 5k drops. It's not that like he's in his 120s, but it's between 130 and 135 most of the time, and occasionally he gets it up to about 138 or 139, but that's like 5Ks. It seems to me that his average pace has kind of dropped. Unfortunately, we don't get those stats on Crick Info or uh, any other place. I don't know if Crick Wiz gives us that information, but anyway, that's a different topic. So I'm looking at his bowling. I think his pace has dropped. So consistency and also the speed has kind of dropped, and that's even a 5K drop, kilometers per hour drop in pace has, it gives the batsman that fraction of a second. And the way we saw Khwaja, he pulled a good length ball from Siraj, the way he did, seemed that he didn't have the pace today, and it was also evident from the other matches too. So I think Siraj needs to step up, and I think Akashdeep pulled really well. And this is the other point which I have a concern around is, while Harshit Rana definitely is one for the future, if you wanted to play Harshit Rana, he should have played in the Test series against New Zealand. We should have groomed him. And when I say groomed, what I mean by that is bowling a spell and then coming back for the second spell, adjusting to the scenario. Because I think what we saw, Harshit Rana seemed a bit too raw. He bowled well at Perth in the first innings, but then the second innings, when the situation was slightly different, he didn't adjust as well, and he sprayed the ball around, got taken for runs, and a similar situation in the second test. So I would have, either if you had to play Harshit Rana, you should have played him in the Test series ahead of Akashdeep. But since that didn't happen, I think Akashdeep should have played the Test match at least in Adelaide, given that he pitches the ball up and gets the ball to swing. So that's my thought on the bowling. In terms of the batting, so I think a lot of talk has been about Rohit and Kohli being the senior players and how they must get runs, and I think it's fair to have that expectation, because they've been there, and the senior pros, they have to take responsibility and just score those runs for the team. However, I think this is a big series for Shubman Gill and Rishabh Pant. And the reason why I say that is because they toured last time and they did well in Australia. They scored. Gill gave us that starts. He looked really comfortable against the three fast bowlers of Australia. Granted, the ball was not moving as much laterally, but I think he did well. And Rishabh Pant, we know the heroics that he came up with last time. So I feel that this series, doing it first time, and there was no pressure, but now there is a certain degree of expectation, and that's where these guys need to step up and take the pressure off the likes of Kohli and Rohit Sharma. So that's on the batting front. On the all-rounder aspect, so Nitish Reddy, the batsman has done really well. I think nobody expected him to do as well as he did. However, in terms of bowling, I think while he's got a couple of wickets, from what little I've seen, I think the captain or the team doesn't have the confidence to treat him to look at him as a fast bowler who can get wickets. I mean, he's just coming in when there are really no other options left from a fast bowling perspective. So, meaning the gulf between the third and the fourth fast bowler, which he's trying to fill in for, that seems to be a bit too big at the moment. So I think Nitish Reddy, the batter, has done fantastic, but I think if he really wants to fit into the team in the mid-term or medium term, he needs to really work on his bowling, maybe get his pace up a bit and get the accuracy. So yeah, so I think if he can do that, that would be the best case scenario. And this ties into the other aspect of the spinners. So because Nitish Reddy has been batting well, however, the bowling seems to be a bit light, and that's why perhaps Ashwin was looked at in the second test. But then a batting is kind of struggling, and maybe Jadeja and Sundar offer more in terms of with the bat. So that's where I think there's this whole confusion in terms of which spinner do we wish to play. So I think if our batting was clicking, we would have probably gone with Ashwin. But since we don't have that same confidence, I think we've gone with Jadeja for the third test. So that's a bit, yeah, that seems to be a little muddled in terms of the thinking. But it is what it is. So let's see. Let's hope that Jadeja does well. And I think Ashwin also did well in the last test match, and so did Sundar. So none of them have actually bowled poorly. It's just a case of the team combination. And it is sad that we have bowlers sitting out after one game when it's been the batsmen that have let us down. So, but it's that's sometimes how the cookie crumbles, and it is what it is. So hopefully Jadeja can bat well and contribute with the ball when needed. So look forward to a good show from India in this third game against Australia.